So as of now, the Nintendo Switch 2 launches in just a few weeks, and despite some obvious issues, I'm generally very excited for it. I even made a bingo board for both the Switch 2 Direct and the Direct the week before, which is why I'm throwing out 10 titles that I would hope come to the system at some point in its life. Some of these titles I've loved, and some I've never played. Some I don't really want to play, but I think that the presence of these will help round out the Switch 2 experience. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 1, Kena Bridge of Spirits. I played this game in June of 2022 on my PS4, and had an absolute blast. I think the game had a sort of charm that would feel right at home on Nintendo consoles, while at the same time, it tells a realistic story about moving on after death. A concept that I was recently reminded of when I first played Spiritfarer a few weeks ago. It's honestly an ingenious concept, and I think this game pulls it off really well. It has a bit of a cozy vibe, honestly not too dissimilar to a Disney film, with a few elements of classic 3D Zelda titles, along with a heavy dose of Pikmin. It matches the energy of many Nintendo titles, and I'd look forward to replaying it if it got brought over. Number 2, Blueprints. Blueprints is probably the most recent release on this list, a roguelike without any real sort of combat, instead tasking you with drafting various rooms throughout a mansion to find the elusive hidden room 46, in order to claim it as your own. The game has a lot of depth, mystery, and is one of the more interesting roguelikes I've encountered. Like how Pizza Tower was probably the indie game of the year for 2023, and Balatro for 2024, I see Blueprints winning for 2025. I'd look forward to seeing how the game would look running in the palm of my hand. Number 3, Hi-Fi Rush, an action-adventure rhythm game starring future rock star Chai, a young man with an iPod embedded in his chest after a cybernetic surgery goes wrong. I find this game really unique compared to other rhythm games, as it is also a fully 3D action-adventure game. The plot is fairly charming, and also feels like it would fit right at home on the Switch 2. The art style feels straight out of a comic book, and of course, the soundtrack is a huge bonus. There's a pretty good reason why this game was praised when it was first shadow dropped, and actually feels really creative and unique coming from a studio that's re-releasing Skyrim for the billionth time. Number 4. Various Hoyoverse games. Let me start by saying that I haven't really played any Hoyo game. I've never touched Genshin or Zenless, and I've played Star Rail only once, though stopped because I'm running the game on a crappy laptop not really meant for gaming. What I did play, I did definitely enjoy, though I'm not entirely sure if I'd want to go back. All three of these are identified by their gotcha systems of progression, essentially locking your progress by a heap of RNG. They're definitely games that have their audience, and especially since the games technically work on smartphones, but were never ported over to the Switch, I do think that they at least deserve it. Who knows, maybe I'll give Star Rail another go. Number 5. Geometry Dash. The music-based auto-runner that defined middle school for me and my friends. While I definitely don't play as much now, I remember really liking the game's soundtrack, as it was technically the first quote-unquote rhythm game that I ever played. It's really simple to pick up and go, similarly to the Switch itself. And the level creator could be made possible through the new Joy-Con mouse system. I made some absolutely terrible levels back then, and I'm totally ready to do so again now. Number 6. Mother 3. I mean, it wouldn't be a Nintendo wishlist without asking for Mother 3, would it? One of my favorite games of all time is Deltarune, amazingly one of the Switch 2's launch titles, and it is heavily inspired by the Earthbound/Mother series. I believe the reasons the game never left Japan is due to cultural concerns, particularly regarding a certain character. I don't honestly remember. But the narrative itself is pretty damn good, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to actually experience it in English for the first time, without playing through a fan translator mod. The series has also been dead for many years, so I think it would be great if Nintendo brought it back. Number 7. Legacy Pokemon games. I remember seeing a rumor online a few months ago about a re-release for Pokemon Gens 1 to 3, all packaged in a collection similar to Mario All-Stars. I think that's a great idea, though I personally don't find myself agreeing with the idea of repackaging 4 Game Boy and GBA games for what will probably be at least $60. Hence, while this will for sure never happen, I am expressing my desire for that rumor to come true, but instead encompass Gens 1 to 7. My idea is that version 1 would have Red, Gold, Ruby, Diamond, Black, Black 2, X, Sun, Ultra Sun, Leaf Green, Soul Silver and Alpha Sapphire, with the remakes having the opposite renditions of their originals for a bit of variety. And that the version 2 title would have the counterpart game. I even made terrible box art for them. I think it would be nice, especially with the Dex controversy starting with Gen 8, and even if it was a limited title like Mario 3D All-Stars, I would still pick it up. Or, you know, at least port over Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. They are my personal favorite Pokemon games, and those alone would make me incredibly happy. Though this would by far make me, and likely many others, happier. Number 8. Netflix and Disney Plus. No, I'm not joking. The Nintendo Switch already has access to Crunchyroll, YouTube and Hulu, and yet does not have access to other services like Netflix or Disney Plus while systems like the PS5 can. I understand that this isn't really a priority for Nintendo, but in that case, why allow services like these at all on the eShop, and not get arguably the two most well-known? I get that there is probably some financial or business issues that would prevent this from happening, but again, Sony and Microsoft already have this on their platforms. Now, I sure as hell do not want Nintendo to become some multimedia corporation like Sony tried with the PS3, or Microsoft with the Xbox One. That would be an absolute disaster. But at the very least, I think services like these would at least be nice to have. Number 9. Various Atlas games. While some who know me may expect this to be my top choice, particularly regarding Persona 3 Reload as that is probably my favorite game of all time, I'd like to bring up that Persona 3 Portable is at least already on the Switch. However, not only is Reload not available, but Metaphor Refantazio isn't either. I feel a lot of people were genuinely expecting them to show up at the Switch 2 Direct, and they surprisingly didn't. Reload is a remake of a PS2 classic for the modern day, while Metaphor is Atlas's newest attempt at a long-standing JRPG series, made to be separate from the larger Shin Megami Tensei. Both are genuinely phenomenal games, from their writing, to their characters, to that sweet music. God bless the Atlas sound team. But you know what other Atlas game I personally feel deserves a second shot? Solar Hackers 2. Does it have problems? Yes. Can they ruin the game? Absolutely. But damn it, I had a pretty good time playing that game, and the UI is probably my favorite out of any Atlas title. I love the splashes of purple throughout the entire experience, and Ringo is easily my favorite Atlas protagonist. While I would probably wait for some of these to go on sale given the current state of the industry, I would happily pick up all three of these. I could genuinely make a whole video about them if I wanted, and I guarantee my little blurb here will not do them justice. But I would genuinely be overjoyed to see more titles from what is probably my favorite development team on the Switch 2. But now I hear you asking. At the start of the video, I mentioned that number 10 is the title I wanted most. So what could possibly beat out a title like Persona 3 for my most wanted spot? Well, Number 10. Gravity Rush 1 and 2. Like many of the other titles on this list, it has a certain charm that feels straight out of a Nintendo game, but even more so than titles like Kenna or Hi-Fi Rush. Namely, it's the smaller details like how the characters all speak in a gibberish-esque language, the enemy designs, the music, the world building, and the overall fun aspect of the game. This is such an underappreciated gem that I wish many more people knew about. The game is categorized by, as the name implies, changing your gravity to fly around the world. Or, as the game calls it, fall with style. Similar to titles like Splatoon, it has deep, rich world building and fascinating locations, while presenting a base plot that's really easy for younger audiences to pick up and play. The aesthetic is fairly cel-shaded and comic book themed, and the soundtrack is simply wonderful. I would honestly hope that the two are packaged in a collection similarly to the Final Fantasy X and X-2 remaster, allowing you to choose between the two games and watch the 20-minute OVA anime episode that connects the two together. Maybe even including art books and the soundtrack. Improvements could also be made under the hood to have a better frame rate, or to maybe include mouse controls for precision aiming, as the games originally had support for motion controls. And while many of you are probably thinking that this is for sure impossible, Sony owns the IP and they would never bring it over to a Nintendo platform, might I direct you to the Direct, on March 27th. The new Hashot's Golf game and the Patapon remaster are also both Sony IPs, coincidentally all made by the now defunct Japan studio, who also made Gravity Rush. It's possible Bandai Namco could take the reins and push the series onto other platforms, potentially breathing new life into it, as to be honest, the series isn't very well known. We haven't even seen anything concrete from it since 2017. While I enjoy Persona 3 more, and would definitely be happy to see some of my other favorite games come to the Switch too, just know, this is it. This is the title I absolutely want the most, and I am overjoyed that it is genuinely possible. It would quite literally be a dream come true if this is announced, and I will genuinely probably cry. This could also be its own video, but I fear I've gone on far too long here. I've even had to add a second trailer. So, let's wrap things up. Well, overall, those are the 10 titles I would most like to see be brought over to the Switch 2. Do you agree with me? Disagree? Let me know in the comments. This is probably my favorite video I've made so far on this channel, even though I've enjoyed making nearly every video here. While there aren't many of you here, to those who are watching, thanks. It means a lot to know people like my garbage. Maybe we can get more people on here in the future. But until then,
I understand perfectly. I'll be back.